with the world watching, engineer a strategy that's going to come back and turn the situation around.
Well, I think that's really what Jaedong is best at. This guy's so reactive, he's so clever, he's played a lot longer than sOs, he's so experienced. I think he's going to be fine here.
Yeah, and Jaedong's decided to take double gases here, so what is this actually for? I mean, he's going to tech up quite fast. Is this just for Zergling speed? Does he try to do something else here? I'm not too sure.
It's pretty hard to say, actually. I'm trying to figure out with 2 gases this quickly, like, you could go for a fast layer. You know, what would you want to get with that, though?
It's funny because if he doesn't get a 3rd base up here and Protoss is on 2 bases, I mean, this is StarCraft 101. You have to stay in the lead when it comes to expansions as Zerg. So maybe Jaedong's going to try to do something to end this very quickly.
Well, he is going up to a very fast layer. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to end up seeing here, Apollo. What do you think?
Well, the options from this point, well, as he starts to clear out these cannons, he could go for a Nidus Worm, but what exactly is he going to put in there? He doesn't have Zergling speed research. Does he want to throw down a Roach Warren soon? Mutalisk are out the question. Could it be, if he takes the gases on his other base, could it be a Hydra Nidus play or something? He's so limited on gas at this point.
Yeah, you know, he hasn't taken the gases at his new natural right here. So it can't be Mutas, as you said. It probably won't end up being any sort of infestation pit. I'm not sure.
I feel like it's going to be a Nidus Worm. I'm not sure if that's the best move, but then again, what is the best move in this very bizarre setup that sOs has started this game out on?
Well, we have to look. The sOs did do research +1 attack straight away. He's added on 3 extra gateways, so no matter what Jaedong does, sOs seems to have a plan here. He's Chronobush into that cybernetics core.
Okay, so sOs is going to have plenty of units, probably isn't going to die. Ooh, a Hydralisk Den. So he's actually going fast Hydras. Maybe Jaedong thinks here that we were going to see a Stargate rather quickly after the cannon rush, which is pretty common.
That's very true. The Stargate is super common after a successful cannon rush because you can control the map very, very easily, especially with the Queens being slow off of creep. Instead, from what I'm gleaning here is that Jaedong is doing a kind of abstract way to just get back into a normal game. He's actually okay playing from a completely uncomfortable position as long as he can get back to that macro Zerg style that he's so good at.
As we see here, we have 4 probes that just got rallied to exactly the wrong place. That is actually a gigantic hiccup in sOs's economy.
Well, now the cannon's going to get picked off here, but we have a pylon aggressively. Remember, +1 attack has finished, and units are moving across the map. Are these Hydralisks and Zerglings that are going to be made? That's going to be enough. That's a lot of force fields.
I'm almost under the impression sOs expected Jaedong to do some kind of all-in after this and is now caught off guard. He is going to move down here into this attack. Let's see if Jaedong can hold this off.
He could force field this ramp and lock all the units out. They'll have to run around. If he does do that, he sees the Hydras, though, and does back up for now.
And we have a pylon coming over here at the 3rd. sOs being very cautious. We've seen some players be a little bit too aggressive. He peeks in there and he says, can I 100% win this? No, I'm going to have to back up.
That was so interesting because I really thought, as you described, Autosis, he could have done so much there. Force fields on the ramp, he had the mothership core, he could easily recall if something went wrong there, and I think that may have been a missed opportunity for sOs.
I feel like minimum he was going to kill a lot of drones, but instead he has decided to run away. At least that does leave him with a lot of force fields for defense, and he did force a good amount of units out of a very low economy Jaedong.
Here we have that infestation pit coming down, and it looks like the drone going to the 4th base now is going to arrive, and Jaedong has transitioned into frankly a pretty healthy Zerg macro game right now.
He certainly has. He's got a pretty decent drone count. He's still teching up. That's a pretty quick infestation pit as well, and going on to a 4th base, you can't really ask for more after this weird and wonky start.
Yeah, I can't help but feel that with sOs's attack and investment into that gateways and the +1 attack, and without doing anything, it's almost equalized the game a little bit. I mean, Jaedong wasn't too far behind from the initial cannon rush, but from this point, the Hive is on its way. If he's able to combine Vipers with the Hydrals that he has out or something along those lines, especially because we see Colossus on the way, this could be a dangerous attack.
You know, on this map especially, one thing that it's pretty popular is going just for Swarm Host play and turtling up, which he could do. He does have, you know, an economic engine that's strong enough that he can set that up. We'll have to see.
You know, that is true, but this is also Jaedong. We have to remember that. There's always the possibility of Mutalisks. He could go for that. But with the Roaches and Hydras being made, I think it's going to be mainly Corruptors to help take out those Colossus.
Yeah, once those Colossus go down, this Protoss army that we see is just going to melt the amount of Hydralisks and Roaches we're going to see.
All right, so we see a scouting hallucinated Phoenix coming in here. A Protoss is going to poke in and try to just wipe out the creep tumors, anything to get a little bit more map control. He sees the tacking, and it looks like from here he's going to just go ahead and get a second Stargate. Oh, excuse me, he cancels it as I say that.
Okay, I think he was thinking it might be Mutalisks here, so he was getting ready for it, and after scouting this many Hydras and Roaches, obviously it's not going to be.
That makes a lot of sense because we've seen so much Mutalisk play from Jaedong throughout the last 2 days. He probably was trying to get ahead and stop that before it started, but no need, canceled it. Nice play there.
Well, Jaedong is racing up in supply now, guys. He's already up to 170. He really is racing, and with 3 Vipers on the way, a couple of ducks to the Colossus that are out here, Jaedong's army is going to be so strong.
Right now, SOS cannot attack. In fact, right now, SOS has to sit back and defend. As soon as they're charged up, it's going to be a deadly attack, but the Templar Archives is on the way.
That Jaedong is maxed out, by the way, as you can see here in first person, just now hitting 200. So he can now just start pulling larvae, and it's going to be very difficult for SOS to deal with. SOS at almost half of what Jaedong has.
We even see an Ultralisk Cavern coming down, a really great transition, especially if your opponent is staying on gateway units. So here we go. Jaedong is moving out.
This could be pretty crazy here, Tasteless, if these ducks grab those Colossus.
All right, looks like he's going to be moving in now. Will he actually attack, or is he just testing the defenses around here? He could harpoon here with some of these Vipers.
Well, he does have 3 High Templars here, and it looks like, oh, he does pick off that Forge, and here comes the first yank. Oh, the Colossus lives for a second yank. The Colossus goes down.
Beautiful, taking that Colossus out and then maneuvering around the map, but we do have a War Prism coming in over here. It could hit the third base, and it could hit it hard.
A beautiful counterattack coming in from SOS, though. All the army, every part of Jaedong's supplies on the other side of the map. That War Prism with the Zealots there could do so much damage to Jaedong's infrastructure.
It very well may. There's only a single Roach and a Queen here to help out. If you can warp in some more units, that's going to be great, but this attack is still going on at his front door.
Looks like he's going to move in again here. The Colossi backing up. Will they get harpoon again?
Beautiful! Well, he doesn't end up getting that Colossi. It does get microwaved very quickly by SOS. In the meantime, the Zealots still trying to do damage, but don't get much done.
Oh, great pick there by Jaedong. Crashed one of those Colossus. But most importantly, SOS is holding strong.
Now think about this. The Colossus increment out one by one from the robotics facility. If he keeps losing those, he's never going to be able to push out on the map. Meanwhile, Zealots now hitting the hatch. Transfusions coming down. Jaedong rapidly coming back to try to save this.
Oh, is he going to get it? Is he going to get the hatchery? Oh, transfuse!
Oh my God! I cannot believe my eyes, even using an abduct on a single red Zealot. Jaedong going to every measure to save this hatchery.
Unbelievable play there. Jaedong not missing a beat, still maxed out. His army pushing out towards the front of the Protoss base. He's going to keep controlling this. It is looking to be probably a Jaedong win if SOS can't turn something else around here.
Hey, you know what? That is a possibility. He even has that Ultralisk Cavern ready. He's taking that 5th base. This is looking rather good for Jaedong, but SOS is taking his 4th.
Is he gonna get the hatchery?
Oh, no, not this time, Tasteless. The transfuses keep on, and the Warp Prism has to run away. But I think a really important part of this game right now is the Ultralisk. The upgrades are starting to come in. He's making his Ultralisk stronger. Jaedong currently doesn't care about Roach, Hydra, Viper as much anymore. But look at this. There's no Immortals. There's no Archons.
It's wild, man. Look at how much Jaedong is banked up, by the way. Almost 4K in minerals and over 1,000 in Vespian gas. So he has a lot of options here. Let's say his army gets wiped out. He can come up with a completely different tech.
Two Colossus being picked off, and it looks like he may even get a cancel on this 4th base. Jaedong playing a flawless game.
This is some of the best Viper play I have ever seen.
Yeah, and I can't believe that Jaedong keeps pulling this off. He's moving around. His opponent can't even get over 150 supply.
Oh man, look at this. The Zealots in the main base. At the same time, the Roach is hitting over here, but he doesn't even care about these Roaches. Psystorms comes down. Looks like he'll save the Nexus for now, but still more damage being done in Jaedong's main.
Yeah, the Nexus was bruised there, but just not enough. The Zealot harass has not been impactful here to get SOS a lead. SOS having a hard time even getting outside of his base. Well, we have another Zealot harass coming in here. He's going to go for the hatch. He's not going for the drones. This means he has to take a big step if he wants to get ahead.
Well, right now we have a big bang for Jaedong. The Spire's finishing. Is he going to do the Mutalisk switch?
The hatchery's getting lower, 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 and it does look like Jaedong once again manages to save this.
There's so much money being thrown into picking off hatcheries, the Warp Prism, the Zealots, and neither of them are successful. What is Jaedong waiting for now? It's going to be Ultralisk first of all here.
All right. 5 Ultralisks on the way. Also, a lot of spine crawlers being made. He realizes that this harassment is doing very well. Oh my gosh,
getting
the hatchery! Finally, SOS picks off a hatchery.
It's incredible. I mean, look at the APM here. That's actions per minute. It is so high right now. I believe that's SOS on the left there. It's incredible. These guys are playing so fast.
Right now, Jaedong pushing up again. He wants to get rid of the 4th base. Will he be able to do it? This is a little suicide force here. So even though it looks like he'll cancel that 4th, he should end up losing the army.
But Autosis, I really don't think Jaedong cares about his Roach Hydra anymore. But the big question I want to ask you and ask every other player out there, is SOS ready for Ultralisks?
He is absolutely not ready for Ultralisks. Stalkers, Sentries, and Colossus are all countered by them. And in fact, look at this. He's seen the double Spire, and he's going for Phoenixes. He's afraid of the Mutalisk switch.
And he's pooling the Phoenixes here too, so the Zerg might not identify that in time. And that might be a big surprise here for Jaedong.
Yeah.
Well, Jaedong is still making Ultras, and that's just another unit. You know, Phoenixes are even worse against Ultras than Sentries are.
So right now, SOS is attempting to take a 4th base. He can't stay in 3 bases forever. And I think what we're going to see, Jaedong's going to go for one big final attack. As soon as SOS moves down to take his 4th, his army will be the open. And that's when Jaedong's going to come for map number 1.
And it looks like that 4th is all just about to be completed here. He might wait for that to finish so even more damage is done. But you're absolutely right. He's going to gear up for one big killing blow.
Well, he's ready. He's just waiting, kind of in a concave here. It's hard to break through a wall with Ultras. And in fact, now he's showing them off. SOS has to be feeling pretty sad that he's bought so many Phoenixes right now.
Jaedong's on 5 bases. You can't stay on 3. He has to come out, but it gets cancelled. How the hell is SOS going to be able to afford anything if this game continues on?
This game is going to start snowballing here. In fact, it already has, really. Jaedong is getting bigger and bigger and scarier. He has so much banked up right now, and now going for the Nexus here. Will this snipe work off? He'll take out the Nexus and even free up supply to tech to something else.
Well, it looks like he does want to switch tech now by throwing away those Ultras. He could go into Mutas, but let's not forget, SOS is ready for that. There's a lot of mind games going on right now.
But how much money does he really have? Because yes, he'll have a little of everything, but not a lot of it. And that's the big problem, because look at how much money Jaedong has saved up. At any point in this game, Jaedong could win with his trademark move.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of Immortals on the way. We're actually starting to get to a composition that SOS may be able to win battles with. And if he's very quick with that, Jaedong's going to have a hard time. But again, as Tasteless, you were saying, the 5 bases of Jaedong allow him to do whatever he wants.
Oh, look at this brave soldier, Tasteless.
Just moving out right here.
He's going to grab that watchtower.
Now, note that most other players would, well, hold on, we're in first person now. So it looks like he's going to go ahead and try to do some harass over here. Anything he can do to try to get a small lead, taking out these drones, maybe even getting this Hive. If you get that, that would be huge.
Well, the Hive, it may in fact end up going down, but, you know, is that enough at this point?
Now, it's important to note that most Zerg players would have a wall of spine crawlers and be turtled up, but that's not how Jaedong plays. Jaedong is all about aggression and control, not about passive play.
That is correct, and in fact, he sat back there for a moment, the Immortal making its way all the way over into his natural.
So do you think Jaedong may be sitting back too much here, Autosis? SOS's supply is starting to rise now.
Well, you know what? Immortal, Void Ray, Archon, Colossus is a pretty good unit composition against Ultralisk. So, yeah, he may have waited a bit too long.
You got to wonder if this might be somewhat of a mistake. This is a map where the 4th base is much easier to secure than any other map, and maybe Jaedong banking on wiping out that 4th and drying up the Protoss, maybe that's a mistake.
Well, you know what? I think Jaedong can make a few mistakes here and still be okay. He's just got so many bases. He's taking another. His creep spread looks good. And that's still a good unit composition.
Well, we could see the fight happen here. Jaedong is posturing outside there, but sOs is tucked in a very nice location. If Jaedong was to fight there, he'd probably lose a lot without really trading off too well.
Well, we see a passive Jaedong right now. He's just waiting. You know, he's saying, okay, you're gonna come out. You're gonna try to fight me. sOs completely turtled up right now, and I'm really starting to wonder here. Unless Jaedong starts to make a bunch of spine crawlers, perhaps, or something. We'll see. Actually, he's attacking it now.
All right, a little bit of an attack so far. Those Phoenixes starting to get picked off a little bit, and I think that's part of what Jaedong wants.
You know, these Ultras are not quick. I mean, the Stalkers can continue to chase him there with Blink. This one Void Ray nicely takes out that hatchery, catching the tail end of that there.
All right, I think it's time for Jaedong to really start doing something. He's got the Nidus network, which is going to come. He's got an Overseer on high speed towards the main base.
Now, he might not see this Nidus network come in here, where he's actually moving out with his army in the middle here. This could be a big surprise, but sOs has decided now is the time to attack. Almost 30 minutes into this game, he's finally trying to make a killing move.
Well, it looks like we're starting to have a base race. The Ultralisk Roach going towards that fourth base. Mutalisk starting to be made, and that's going to be his big switch as he loses his supply.
Yeah, that's going to be it. But does he lose these 8 Mutalisks that come out? Does he lose the hatcheries? Does he lose the lava? Extra spires are being made. This is getting crazy.
Once again, Jaedong is going for a base trade scenario, but will it work? As sOs tears through Jaedong's base, he eliminates critical tech structures.
Uh-oh, some DTs in there, no real detection. He's going to have to end up using a fungal most likely. This is getting really painful for Jaedong. He has to go home and lose this supply so he can make Mutalisks.
All right, well, imagine if you lost Overlords or something along those lines. This is becoming very, very close in a game that almost shouldn't have been.
It's absolutely insane. The bottom right base is being taken out. Phoenix is being produced. There are 3 spires being made right now.
Did he lose his main spires? Is that why we're not seeing it?
He lost both spires back there at the second.
Oh, this is really stressful right now, I imagine, for Jaedong. With all the Phoenixes being made, they've already been upgraded for so long. They're going to be so good against Mutalisks that pop.
That is very true, but these Mutas do have +3 attack. There may be a few Infestors left on the map that could swing that battle in his favor. But this is starting to look really rough for Jaedong.
You know, if he gets enough Phoenixes out, the Overlords are not really well protected. I mean, he could actually wipe out all of the ability for the Zerg to make units here.
Oh, and he's actually adding on 4 high tempo, and I really think that's the deal with what he's expecting, I'd imagine, to be Mutalisks. He's probably like, Jaedong, come on, man, you've been on 5 bases for 20 minutes. Where's the money?
Well, it's a very good question. I think he's really smart to be making these Phoenixes. Jaedong just losing the spires, doing the base trade with Ultras, it's not working out for him.
He doesn't have enough lava.
No, he does not.
He's lost so much.
It's so sad. He has all this capital, and he can't spend it.
Well, here goes the army, and this is going up towards at least where 1 or 2 of his extra spires are at, and there are 2 of them. So those are going to be taken out rather quickly as well. Good thing, though, he made 3.
Does Jaedong fight up there to defend that location, or does he forget about it and try to keep the Mutalisk count rising?
I think he has to forget about it. There's no way to save it, no matter what. Those Immortals are going to win whatever battle comes them right now. He actually just has to have mass Mutas, but there's so many Phoenixes out, I don't know that it matters.
And the spires are going to be stamped out again here. Jaedong running out of places to hide as this death ball of sOs moves from location to location, slowly wiping out anything Jaedong related.
Oh God, these Phoenixes doing such a great job against the Mutas, and in fact coming to join up this army with all those Archons. You are never going to be able to engage this.
Yeah, after watching this game, I can't help but feel how good and how well sOs has played. Just imagine, a few moments ago he's on 3 bases, he couldn't take a 5, he looked so far behind, but everything's gone his way.
It certainly has, and this is the final battle. GG! Wow. That was amazing. For sOs to come back and win that when Jaedong had so much money banked, so much tech, he had everything at his disposal, and one false move, not letting his army die, not having the supply to repop on Mutas right away. He waited too long.
It's so interesting how sOs played that. I was pretty confident, I think you guys were as well, that once we saw sOs stuck in his base for like 25 minutes or something, that Jaedong should be able to win that no matter what, but SOS had the patience. He was so calculated when he moved out. Even the order in which he attacked everything was beautiful, and that's how Jaedong got wiped out.
All right, so this is going to be the next map that we'll be going over to here in this best-of-7 finals. It is going to be Derelict Watcher, a 2-player map. It is rather large and open, and it's definitely a map that we've seen throughout the World Championship Series this year that has favored Zerg over Protoss.
It has, and I think it's a good map for Jaedong specifically. We've seen a lot of Mutalisk play here from him, but it feels like, you know, is he losing his nerve? He's in the finals. He's so close to winning the most important tournament of the year, and he just almost threw away that game that he was so far ahead in.
Well, you know Jaedong is going to be kicking himself for that last game because it started out weird. I really like that strategy by SOS, but, you know, the thing is that it was a strategy that, although it was weird, he was unable to make it fall through. But yeah, he had that advantage, and he wasn't able to carry it out.
Well, Apollo, what do you think Jaedong has to do here to pick up a victory to get back on track?
I don't think he really needs to change that much. I really, kind of felt in that previous game that he really wanted to end it with the Mutalisks. He knew that a base trade could happen, but it just didn't kind of go the way he expected it to be. So I don't really think he'll change that much this game. But one thing to note, which, okay, maybe one small thing we'll see change, is just maybe the openings. I think he'll be a little bit more careful of SOS. We know that he can open any style, any kind of build, aggressive or non-aggressive.
Well, you know what? I think that's a good point, Apollo. If he plays as well as he played last game and just doesn't make that one big crucial mistake, he was looking like a better player for a while there. But again, SOS, you cannot count him out. He knew what was going on the entire game. He was so on top of Jaedong's style, making those Phoenixes so early on. That's really how he ended up winning.
Well, guys, it looks like it's time for game number 2. To find out who is going to be crowned the champion, the best StarCraft 2 player of 2013 here at Blizzcon. Over here in the upper right, in the red, up 1 game so far. Make some noise for SOS. And in the bottom left, the legend from Brood War here to prove he can be the legend now in StarCraft 2. He is Jaedong!
He is intense right now. To have lost that game.
Looks like we might have a pause here.
Looks like we do in fact have a pause.
Yeah, I think it was Jaedong putting his headset on. He's just doing it now in the booth. But I really agree. I mean, he was intense, man. That stare as we were loading into this next map, I think that would it? Yes, it is. It would have. It really would have angered him, that first map. That would have made him so much more determined for this next one.
That would be so frustrating, that first map. All right, so anyways, we're back into this game. Again, the map is Derelict Watcher.
And you know what, SOS that was just on the screen there, he actually looked very calm. He looked very collected and not even really nervous.
It's really interesting. He just seems unfazed at all by this entire experience. He's totally clutch.
Are we seeing mind games happen here, Artosis? Are we going to see another early Forge?
Yeah, we are. This is another cannon rush.
So is he saying that you can't, I mean, is Jaedong saying you can't cannon rush me twice in a row?
You know what's crazy about this? Let's say that SOS wins here. Let's say that this strategy looks like the last strategy that we saw in game number 1. This will forever change the way we understand Protoss.
Well, SOS is going for it. We don't see a second probe this time. Of course, this is not a map you're going to go low ground. Oh, okay, the drone coming out. Almost looking for something weird going on. And will the probe... Apollo, it's happening.
It is happening, and well, guess what, Artosis? You cannot get in between those 2 pylons.
Yeah, due to the architecture here, he can actually just make a cannon when it's blocked off, and Jaedong is probably going to be forced to cancel here.
This is like SOS's thing, finding funny places that you can't get into. So this cannon rush is already basically successful. Jaedong is not going to be able to stop it.
I don't even know what it means if Jaedong loses to Cannons in the finals of this. This is insane. All right, now the drones are coming down here. Kenny, nice wall up there. Oh. If he gets these cannons up, he's going to have to cancel this hatchery. That'll put Zerg in a really bad position.
You know what? This is exactly what SOS wants. He gets 2 free drones now as well. Jaedong is way further behind than he was in the first game.
That was so much more successful. Jaedong, in that circumstance, thought he could break it. Thought that's the reason why he pulled the drones, but he couldn't.
I have to imagine that Jaedong is livid right now. In game number 2, Cannon's already foiling his plans.
Well, this is a terrible spot to be in. You know, he's already lost a couple extra drones. Look at this. He has 4 Zerglings. What are those Zerglings going to do? See that there's a cannon at his opponent's base? Great job, Zerglings.
We see the Lings now completely rendered impotent. There's nothing they can really do here. He's going to go ahead, SOS is going to go ahead and tech up, get his gas. And from here, SOS has a series of very good options for how to carry out a win.
Yeah, I think it was a really smart play from SOS, because when you open up with a cannon rush in game number 1, Jaedong's going to be thinking, yeah, he's not going to do it twice, and therefore decided to go back to his original build that we almost saw him try to pull off in game number 1. And SOS was able to play that mind game, and he won it, and he gained the advantage.
What do you guys think Jaedong's going to do in this game? Because I think if we look at the last game, it's fair to say that he handled that bizarre situation really, really well. It was the end game where he kind of wasn't able to really follow suit. Will Jaedong do something similar, or is he going to do something more aggressive and all-in-ish?
You know what? I think he has to do something similar. I think he has to play kind of a safe game overall. I would definitely expect Stargate here, although some Protosses like to go for Warp Gate Rush because you have the proxy pylon already up and secure. So he has to just watch out for something like that as well.
Well, Jaedong is taking both of the gases at the exact same time as the previous game. So far, it does look like he is mirroring what he did previously.
Well, you know, it's really safe, and I think that opening like this will pretty much always get him into at least a 4-base situation before SOS has a really dedicated attack.
How soon do you guys expect SOS to take the third? Because the third base on this map is a little funky. It's not the easiest thing to get to.
Well, right now, we're actually seeing +1 attack being researched again. And Chrono Boost going into the cybernetics core, rushing out that Warp Gate research. He's not mining the most amount of gas from his main base, if I just glance at that real fast there. So I think we could be seeing a gateway attack come from SOS here.
You know, I think a timing could be really effective here. I mean, Zerg is already economically a little bit staggered here, so maybe a move in like that could do the damage that he needs to do.
Well, let's see how many gates he gets. Will it be just 4? Will it be 5, 6, 7? We don't know quite yet. Looks like if he is going to make more, he's going to spread them out. And you know what? If he doesn't have a Roach Warren, that's going to be very scary when those Zealots warp in.
All right, 2 evolution chambers. So right now, Jaedong kind of investing in the late game, in the long run. And you got to think, if the Protoss does have a good timing attack, this pylon, he has a proxy pylon right there where the cannons are. He can actually warp in an army and attack him right away.
But he doesn't have another one anywhere else, so it seems very simple if that were to be the attack and the strategy.
Yeah, but look, I mean, the Warp Gate just now finishes, and the cannons are still there, the pylons are still there, and now he's going to go for double Stargate.
Well, you know what? I think he's going to warp in around his Zealots, perhaps, harass a little bit with these Stalkers the Zealot already has, as well as those with the +1, and then just go straight into Void Rays.
And I think this is what we all described previously before this series started that SOS would need to do. Outsmart, outthink, and just kind of outplay Jaedong without physically fighting in kind of just wars head-to-head mechanically.
Yeah, it's kind of this weird, like, drunken boxing way of playing the game here from SOS, where he just gets in this position where he has complete control. And now the Zealots are attacking in here. The drones are going to be used to defend.
This +1 attack doing a fantastic job. Look at that micro pulling back the hurt Zealot, not letting the Queens be too effective. And he has forced a lot of Zerglings and killed a lot of Zerglings.
And he can, again, warp in more if he wants. We have 2 Phoenixes now on the way. 4 more Zealots warped in on the bottom. Mind you, he can attack from that proxy pylon, the north or the south.
And you know what? I think the last thing he would have expected were these Stargates, but he did scout them, so he's going to have to be very careful.
But without a Roach Warren, I mean, sOs has seen that this is double evolution chambers. He doesn't really can't afford a Roach Warren or Roaches. So at this point, he just continued to warp in more +1 attack Zealots.
The angle here for the Zealots is really strong against these Zerglings. Zerglings now coming in here, but the Zerglings not quite getting as good surface area as Jaedong would want. The harassment continues.
Well, he continues to warp in Zealots there as well. I think that the efficacy of this rush is basically used up. There's so many Zerglings out right now, and that 1-1 about to finish, those are wasted unit rounds.
But we do see Jaedong previously just scouting out the Spire. I mean, scouting out the Stargates, but decided to go Spire still.
I mean, what is that going to be? Is he going to go Mass Corruptor? Maybe Corruptor Muta?
But then, you know, if he goes Mass Corruptor, can he actually get enough out in time before the Phoenixes have already paid for themselves in dividends, right?
It's hard to say. I'm not exactly sure what he's planning there. And seeing the Spire, the Fleet Beacon does go down for sOs. It seems like everything Jaedong is doing is playing into his plans.
What we're seeing sOs do so far in this series, we've never really seen a Protoss do before. This is changing the way we see the game now. This technical harass, starting out with a cannon rush, having a secured proxy pylon, into this air harass. It's absolutely beautiful.
So what is that gas that Jaedong has saved up? What is it for here? 1,200 of it saved, but what does he build?
I still don't know. It looks like 5 Corruptors. Maybe he just grabs a few of those and goes Muta and just says, you know what, I'm going to try to outplay this guy that has mass Phoenixes.
What happens if it's Corruptor Zergling only to try to break this third base? It's only Phoenixes, it's only Zealots, and remember, the Zerglings have a higher upgrade count now.
Now, here's one thing going for Jaedong. He did force a cancel over here. Will that be enough, though? The Phoenix harass and the Zealot harass continues.
Look at this. The Zealots just continue to come in. As you say, Tasteless, they're going after the Spore right now so that the Phoenixes can come in, but there are the Corruptors.
And we now have the Zealots just doing so much damage at this point in time. You know, I think a lot of this goes back to the fact that that proxy pylon with the cannons was never taken out.
And Jaedong just doesn't have that high of a mineral income. His main base is consistently harassed. He's only mining fully off 1 base at this moment.
Oh my god, and look at where he puts those Zealots. Just perfect placement against someone only making Zerglings, but luckily with these better upgrades, he will clear this out as well.
So many queens have been picked off here. You know, the Phoenixes are so agile, they can get in and out and just avoid these Corruptors with ease.
sOs is playing such an intelligent playstyle right now. He's got 2 cannons there to support another pylon where he can continue to harass and continue to warp in units to stop the income and economy of Jaedong. This is beautiful play coming from sOs.
It looks like sOs is maybe a minute or 2 away, actually maybe a second or 2 away, from forcing Jaedong on 2 base. And this goes back to the basic theme of Protoss versus Zerg. Zerg always have to be ahead in a base, or Protoss will dominate them.
A perfect play here from sOs. So clever, so good. And he's continuing to upgrade his Phoenixes. He has so many, it makes sense. How does Jaedong recover from this situation?
And I'm not sure he can here from this point. He's losing so much. sOs, as you vividly described, is playing so smart. This is some very intelligent play from Game 1 and Game 2.
We see the Phoenix is now strong enough to engage the Corruptors, doing so much damage, and Zealot spinning in here. I don't know if Jaedong can recover.
It looks like he may be dying here, Tasteless and Apollo. Look at all of these Zealots just pushing forward. The Corruptors almost all gone. This is bad news for Jaedong.
Again, the Corruptors being beaten back. Nothing really here to stop these Zealots, and I think we're probably going to have to go into game number 3.
Yeah, even if Jaedong's able to push this back with the Roaches and Corruptors he has, this is a very easy place for sOs to fall back onto a 3rd and continue the game longer if Jaedong does defend on what he has in bases at the moment.
At this point, the Phoenix count is simply too high. They're being so efficient. It's snowballed far out of his control.
And I gotta wonder what's going on in Jaedong's mind. How is he gonna recover here as this series continues? Because sOs is playing like probably nothing Jaedong prepared to face against.
You can't prepare against something like this. This is a strategy that we basically never ever see, but SOS has used it and executed it like a strategy he does 10 times a day.
And he's gone up to 4 Stargates now. He'll probably throw down the 3rd base momentarily, and he's just going to increase his Void Ray count. He realizes that Jaedong only has Zerglings and Roaches to play around with. The air units aren't good when the Phoenixes are out in so many.
The Spore Crawlers won't even stop the number of Void Rays that he's going to be flying across the map with. It's a perfect move again by SOS, and Jaedong cannot even switch into Hydralisk from here.
Yeah, right now this is like a checkmate. Yeah, GG. I think Jaedong was biding his time a little bit there after that one game. Probably trying to digest that loss and then also come up with a plan as to like what exactly does he do to turn this series around.
Well, he's down 0-2 right now. He's staring at possibly another 2nd place. I'm starting to feel a bit bad for him, Apollo.
But overall, apart from game number 1, I mean, I think in game number 1 it was Jaedong's mistake. In game number 2 it was SOS with the advantage early on, and he carried an advantage throughout all of the game. Coming into game number 3, Jaedong must not allow something so simple as a cannon rush to bring back the Tyrant. Something so simple shouldn't stop such a warrior.
Okay, I gotta ask here. Is SOS gonna do anything cannon rush related again?
I say yes. I vote yes here.
I want yes.
It's Whirlwind, okay?
I think no.
A 4-player map, definitely a map that has minerals situated in such a way that a cannon rush is not hard to pull off, and it's a little bit less easy to do it here. You have to send out 2 probes to guarantee it. That could trick Jaedong into thinking, you know what, I think I'm just going to hatch first again.
Autosis, is there anything that Jaedong could do to be aggressive himself in the early stages, which would counteract what we're seeing from SOS?
You know, I don't really like any of the aggressive options because you can fall back on that Forge just so quickly. It's very unlikely that even a Zergling rush could get in before the wall is complete.
You know, it's tricky because cannon rushes they have their place, but you don't expect ever for a cannon rush to be used more than once in a series like this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's like your one sucker punch move out of that best of 7, but to do it again like that, and you can see SOS really has it mapped out as to how the Zerg responds. SOS might have been a little bit surprised in game 1 to see how passive and conservative Jaedong was, but the moment that Jaedong tried to do something a little bit more dramatic in game number 2, he immediately was able to punish it.
Well, we have right now Oz in the booth, the teammate of Jaedong from Evil Geniuses, talking to him.
Yeah, I mean, any confidence and words of advice from a teammate is going to be so important at this stage. He cannot let all the memories of all the other tournaments this year, the other 4 finals he's played in, come back, because in multiple tournaments he's actually lost 0-4. And if he's to lose this next map coming into Whirlwind to go 0-3, statistically it's very, very difficult to come back when you're 0-3 down in a best of 7.
But that would be the greatest thing we ever saw.
That would be absolutely incredible. And by the way, guys, looks like it's time for game number 3 here between Jaedong and SOS.
He's angry, Tasteless.
Jaedong does not look too happy right now, that's for sure. SOS, cool as a cucumber. Introducing our players in the bottom right. Surprising everyone here. Playing so well. Up 2 games. Give it up for SOS. And in the upper right, the fan favorite here, the legend from Brood War, make some noise for Jaedong.
I think the crowd has really shown who they want to win.
Yeah, a lot of Jaedong support here.
He's got to stop this landslide before it's too late.
Well, if he loses here, it's the Jaedong curse, the curse of the Dong.
I mean,
not the Kang curse anymore.
it's going to be interesting to see what SOS does here, because again, history is being made. The metagame in StarCraft 2 will be forever shifted after today.
You know, cannon rushes, it seems like they're the way to go. Maybe, you know, the North American server has it right.
That's right. Maybe they do, Artosis. As you can see, there's another hatchery first. The cannon rush may have been successful again.
That's right. And, you know, SOS definitely not going for that. Looks like it's going to be a hatchery first here.
Yeah, it's going to be a Nexus first here from SOS. And, you know, from here, we will not have any cannon tomfoolery. I mean,
Imagine
no
if Jaedong went 3 hatcheries now and was playing the mind games here. And I think he might be. Look at this.
Yep.
He's saying, no, you're probably just going to expect me to play defensive. Take a Nexus first of your own. And Jaedong's saying, well, you know, I'm kind of smart myself. And looks like we are going to see that 3 hatchery play.
This is Jaedong saying, I am not backing down. I am not losing BlizzCon. I'm going to play my game, and I'm going to beat you.
SOS maybe expecting a spawning pool first here. Totally shifted gears now. Now this opener here from SOS is your bread and butter PvZ opener. The way he takes the game from here is really where the beauty of Protoss is shown. How will he tech? Does he go for a few gateways and do a timing? Does he get the Stargates out? We're going to have to wait and see.
Well, you know, I think a Stargate is probably a good choice, unless he's planning a 2-base all-in. What do you think, Apollo? What is the best choice for him to use here on Whirlwind against Jaedong?
I think that SOS, if he was to play a regular game, like, for example, Deer, who Jaedong did beat, bear in mind, earlier on in this tournament, if he was to play a regular style, I think that's where Jaedong's going to be the most comfortable. I think SOS has to continue to ride the momentum from game number 1 and game number 2 and really just win by kind of outplaying and outsmarting Jaedong.
Now, you know, with a map like this, if Jaedong's allowed to play the way he would prefer to play, I mean, he is going to have a really easy time, I would think, winning this game. I mean, this is a big open map. Counterattack's very easy. By the way, we've seen Jaedong counterattacking more than anybody
That's right.
of our 16 players here today.
What is this probe in the top left building a pylon?
Oh
No.
my.
Oh, is he
We're
gonna
gonna
do something
see, we may
sneaky?
see something here.
Well, he's definitely not expanding up there, so he's gonna maybe hide a pylon. You know, we do see Protoss players sometimes throw a probe into the corner of a map just so they can scout later on. But I would love to see him SOS show us something fancy.
He could possibly expand there, though. We've seen a few hidden expansions on 4-player bases so far in this tournament.
Actually, you do make a good point. With the map this big, in the upper left, that's the last place Jaedong would probably end up expanding to.
Yeah.
And maybe, let's say he makes a Nexus up there. He can suck up all the minerals. Jaedong doesn't even know how many expansions his opponent has it there, and that affects the decision-making.
I think that's what we may see here. Well, we'll have to find out, but on the other side of things, Jaedong has decided to get a kind of early evolution chamber. He's decided to research +1 melee attack for his Zerglings, and then get the Zergling speed. What he'll be looking to do here, he's actually expecting to see a 3rd base, a normal game here. But if the 3rd base is on the other side of the map...
You know, one thing that's really interesting about Protoss, whether it's StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2, is all the good top-end Protoss players, they always had to play differently from each other. You know, you get sometimes Terrans, you know, there's a certain way to do it, a right way to do it. I have seen so much guile, so much cunning coming out of SOS that it's blowing my mind here. Yeah, maybe we're going to have that probe in the upper left used. In the meantime, the Stargate play is the way to go, with a Void Ray clearing out any Overlords in close proximity.
Well, you know what? This could be part of the mind game of what that probe could be up to as well. SOS is very well known for going like 2 Stargate Void Ray a lot of the time against Zerg. It's something he's quite comfortable with.
You know, with 2 Stargate Void Ray, you can turtle for a long time.
Yes.
On that. And, you know, I think you guys might be right. Yeah, let's say he just turtles up and then just hides the space. And this is something that happens especially on Whirlwind. It's so big, and when you're both hugging the right side of the map in this case, you can end up completely ignoring that other side of the map. But instead, we're going to have, it looks like a pylon put right outside the Zerg's base.
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to move forward here, but he really doesn't have that much, does he? He's got the Mothership Core, he's got the Void Ray. He may be able to pick up a couple of Queens or so, but overall, this is not really anything dangerous.
And
Oh my God, he's
God.
doing it.
This is the amount of mind games that we're seeing here. That forward pylon was to force more units out of Jaedong, because SOS is not leaving his 2 bases, which is going to allow Jaedong to trick himself into thinking he's forcing SOS to stay in his base.
That is so beautiful. You're absolutely right, Artosis. He just goes in there to make that pylon, and Jaedong's thinking, what's this guy doing? I don't get this. He backs off, and now this expansion in the upper left is made. So here's the way the game should look. Let's say sOs gets what he wants. This is going to be a long, drawn-out game where Jaedong doesn't find out about the extra base in the upper left until it's too late. All of a sudden, Jaedong, thinking he's ahead or even, is in fact behind.
I think this really will question Jaedong's intelligence as this game goes on, but we'll come back to that in a second. As the Void Rays have already picked up one queen, they're going to get a second here.
Oh my god, so much damage being dealt already. In fact, they're going to get the Spore Crawler as well. The 2 queens coming down, but they aren't enough to kill this all off.
And, you know, with the amount of damage he's taken there, this has got to be a very frustrating moment for Jaedong. I mean, that's just... the game looks so weird from the Zerg's perspective. I mean, it's really a big puzzle.
It is, and in fact, he's making a lot more Zerglings. He's even getting another macro hatch going down. And this is because he thinks he needs to keep denying a 3rd base. Because there's so many Void Rays, you just don't have enough to stop mass speedlings. But the 3rd base is in the top left.
Is there any way that, I mean, this is going to be so incredibly difficult to read into that this is there. Is there some way, somehow, Jaedong can figure this out?
Well, I mean, he just has to send one Ling rallied from the up to the upper left and then down to the bottom right. And it looks like he might be doing some of that now. He's getting a little bit suspicious, but I gotta say, sOs has done such a good job of making it look like his rush strategy didn't work and then his 3rd base is gonna be late.
Well, we'll see if that does continue, because again, if Jaedong does send anything up there, it can be killed off rather quickly. Now, sOs, he's starting to get his macroing and taking the natural of sOs's 2nd main.
Okay, now he gets a cancel here on this Nexus, but sOs is going to be fine with that because sOs already has his 3rd up and running. This is actually a greedy 4th. Protoss is not, they're not supposed to be ever able to get 4 bases up this fast because the Zerg can just stop it. But if the Zerg doesn't know that there's another base, then, you know, there's no way for him to punish it.
But look at this. We have 16 Mutalisks on the way against someone that is going for charge lots at the moment, researching Storm, and only has Void Rays as anti-air.
Only 5.
That's very true. The Void Rays are a very particular unit. I mean, they can just be blindsided. When you are going for 4 bases, you don't have a lot of production until those are up and running.
Well, the Zerglings coming in for yet another cancel. Looks like they should be able to get it. But that leaves the Mutas to go into the main base with no anti-air.
Mutas tearing in now, destroying the cannon. The 3rd base is up and running. The probes are moving out now. A Zealot charge may be denied.
And I think it's going to get denied here, and it does get denied. And also the Templar Archives.
Oh, is he going to get it before Storm finishes? It looks like he does.
He does. Now the Mutas are retreating. And, you know, one thing that I think sOs didn't anticipate was that Muta attack like that. We have 60 more Lings on the way. But that hidden base is still not detected here for sOs. And as long as that goes on, that's a source of income that Jaedong can't punish.
I can't help but feel, Autosis, and you can agree or disagree with this, but as sOs, I feel the biggest component missing was scouting. He's built a strategy, he's built an opening, but where was the scouting? He had no idea what was really going on.
But this whole game is about not scouting. I mean, sOs hasn't actually didn't check what the tech was here for Jaedong. And then Jaedong didn't check for the hidden base here. The Nexus, by the way, taken out here as we are looking through the eyes of Jaedong right now.
You know, if I'm Jaedong, I might be thinking that I am way ahead at the moment. In fact, even catching some of these Phoenixes, a bit of sloppy play there from sOs.
And this would be really remarkable if Jaedong was to be able to win this game, considering his opponents had an upper hand for the majority of it.
Well, what sOs needs to do is bunker down and turtle and wait this out. It in a way should look like the last game that we saw. He just needs to defend, and let Jaedong think he has more of a lead than he actually does.
Well, you know what? Jaedong right now on 5 bases, getting infestors out, continuing to make mutas. If he gets one good fungal growth on all of these Phoenixes that are out there, he can just win the game.
And now sOs is going for his 5th base, which you so rarely get to see from a Protoss in this kind of a manner. If he gets this up, it could just turtle. He might be in good shape, but Jaedong is one of these guys with surgical precision with those mutas who could get in there and do the damage he needs to do.
Well, especially when he has 23 mutas. That's surgery with a sledgehammer, Tasteless.
So we have the Lings coming down now, probably try to deny this expansion yet again.
Well, they're not going to be able to get it, are they? With a couple more weapons, they should be able to push this back. I'm really excited to see these fungals come down. They could change everything in this game if they were to land.
SOS coming out here now and wiping out that small Zerg force. Jaedong right now might be a little bit confused. Wow.
Can he bait the Phoenixes? Can he bait the Phoenixes back? If he baits them back in, he gets
beautiful.
Two.
That is not as many as he wanted, but that is a start at least. The thing is, SOS is going to be a lot more careful in the future.
All right, missed Phoenix, the fungal there. And now an engagement. Archon's hitting these infestors, and right now the Muta's taking some damage from those Archons as well.
Uh-oh, all of the Mutas are going to go down, but the Lings will clean up the ground army. Oh no, Burrow, it doesn't look like he's going to get away with the infestors.
But he might be able to pick off the third base here. That's a lot of Zerglings. There's not too much helping and surrounding it.
He has an Archon coming up here now. The Void Race coming up as well. Phoenix is rapidly picking up each individual Zergling. There may be just enough Protoss here in defense to save that Nexus.
And there are so many units streaming across the middle of the map as well.
Well, he does save the Nexus, but is he going to save it this time with that many Zerglings coming down? In fact, it looks like Jaedong is going to run into the main on the Zelda. Oh, beautiful warp in by SOS.
Incredible. That could have been a game changer had he gotten into the main. Lings now again hitting this Nexus.
They've got the wraparound, Tasteless. They've got the wraparound on it.
And with that wraparound, they're going to be able to probably take this Nexus out. So many cannons being warped in. But again, the story is that Jaedong doesn't know about this base right up there. Jaedong is eventually going to end up expanding to that location and then finding out that he has been part of a ruse all along.
You know what? I don't know that that expansion is actually going to be enough with 15 infestors on the way, as well as mass Zerglings, as well as Ultralisk upgrades. This army is so scary.
It's so strong.
If he can get in there and just destroy the bottom right, I mean, you can, in a sense, as far as stuff you have to kill off, if you look at the as long as the bottom right, where all the stuff is produced from, is killed, yeah, Jaedong absolutely wins.
14 Corruptors.
Wow.
This is quite the air army.
And you can see that with the turtling so heavily here from SOS, I mean, that's great and all, but it's the Phoenixes, they're allowing SOS to actually do any damage on the map, right? You know, these pickup queens taking out drones. With all those Corruptors, he can stop that immediately.
Well, we have a lot of Archons being made, and I do have to say that Archons are a good counter to Lings and to Corruptors and to Mutas, so that's still going pretty well for SOS.
And I think Jaedong agrees with you. He's added on 7 Roaches here, which is going to be a lot better against these Archons than the Zerglings will. But it really feels that Jaedong is increasing his upgrades, and he is starting to build an army to take a fight soon.
Now, we did see those infestors getting burrowed. He may be moving out here to try to get a fungal off any of this bunched up army, or even dumping a bunch of infested Terrans here and then running in with the rest of his army.
You're really smart, Tasteless. If he's able to grab these units, that's a good start.
Oh, and it looks like he's going to get a lot of them, but some of them do get picked up. The Corruptors coming in from the side. Storm going down. A lot of infested Terrans as well.
And it looks like he might be able to get all of these infestors and he can just chase them down. The Corruptors are wiping out everything in the air, but the Protoss ground army is so dominant, warping in here at this pylon.
It looks like Jaedong does have to retreat once again, but he is maxed out. He still has a reasonable bank, and even going into Greater Spire now.
And he's able to keep 10 of the 15 infestors alive. Together with the Roaches, they are almost the best, the ultimate army against Zealot Archon. Landing the fungals, preventing the charged Zealots from moving forward, keeping the Archons away from doing damage. If he's able to land the correct fungals with the infestors left over and come in with the Roaches, even the corruption spell from the Corruptors, it would be such an amazing fight for him.
And this might be the perfect time to attack here for Jaedong, because SOS is trying to sneak that 5th base up here. Nice fungal! Beautiful infested Terrans raining down Storm to follow that up. but this may be just too much. The chain fungals can punish the Zealots so easily.
Roaches have pretty big umbrellas. Tasteless, they're surviving the storms and they're pushing forwards.
He's now going to close in here on the would-be third base, keeping SOS under control. By the way, supplies right now, SOS at 107 to Jaedong being maxed out.
SOS is in some trouble now. Jaedong just has so many bases. He's hit a unit composition that's working out. And look at this, SOS going up here, finding all of these spine crawlers, and he's going to lose the rest of his army.
Yeah, he's going to lose the rest of the army. And as Jaedong may be sensing right now, SOS is losing control of this game. Jaedong is pushing forward. He didn't let this landslide happen. It isn't looking like a 0-3 at the moment. It is looking like Jaedong can potentially win this next map.
And that is exactly what he needs, because as we said before, if you're down 0-3 in a best of 7, the odds of you coming back are pretty slim.
Oh, he's trying to get something done with that War Prism, adding a Robo, another Robo at the moment, getting Blink. I don't know that any of this is really going to help out, though, because we could see a gigantic switch into Broodlords at any moment.
Yeah, look at the amount of money that Jaedong has banked up once again. Very similar to game number 1. He has a lot of options.
You know, this game is really a testament to how good Jaedong is, because despite still not knowing about this third base in the upper left, he still has managed to just pound away at SOS and keep his options limited.
You know, this has to be a shocking wake-up call for SOS, who took the first 2 games in such glorious fashion, to come in here, hide his base, it never gets found, and Jaedong is crushing it.
And 7 Broodlords are on the way now. What really anti-air do we have left? Let me just go over the composition. 13 Zealots, don't shoot up. 2-3 Immortals, don't shoot up. And he's only got a couple of Storms Tasteless. He doesn't have anything.
These Broodlords are going to come in here like the Langoliers and eat through the remainder of SOS's base.
Archon's on the way. Those aren't going to help. He's never going to get there because we have a lot of fungals with these Broodlords.
And Jaedong has built an army which may not be answered for here. With 7 Stalkers, emergency anti-airs coming in, but with the fungal coming down on the Stalkers, they're not going to go anywhere.
He's continuing to move forward right now. SOS just trying to hang on in any possible way. The Broodlord still positioned so well. The Stalkers now pushing up. Can SOS hang on?
The Storm Flank really did help out quite a bit, but SOS is not even making anything at the moment, and 28 meters on the way.
Jaedong wants to end this with his trademark move that he has made throughout the World Championship Series, the Flying V, the flock of Mutalisks. 37 Mutalisks!
And he'd be making 16 more if he wasn't maxed out.
And these mutants are going to come in here, and that is just, you can't stop this now. From all corners of the Zergon section of the map, the mutants are going to fly in, and Protoss has already been knocked back into the Stone Age at this point in time. I mean, you can't get an answer to this.
Watch this, Tasteless, as these Mutalisks enter the base. SOS is going to go, oh no! He's got nothing to do with it!
An amazing game by Jaedong.
Some passionate Jaedong fans out there in the audience right now, Autosis, as he does get one in his favor.
I want to point out, I don't think he's going to go pool first at all unless it's a Zergling Rush. I feel like he has decided that these cannon rushes will not stop him. It's a series of mind games, and I feel like he's either going to go hatch first or a very aggressive opener.
And it would be so risky for SOS to continue to cannon rush every single game, because if he does, and Jaedong didn't do it, he would fall behind in the early part of the game, and he doesn't really want that at such a high level. Second place, $45,000. First place is $100,000.
And money is pretty cool, man. I mean, that's a lot on the line. And I mean, on that, the notoriety too. I mean, just to be made the player of the year.
The world champion of the year.
Well, yeah, that's what Jaedong's looking for. He's looking for the win. You could give him a check worth 0, and he's still going to be exactly as happy.
Okay, let's try this again. As this game loads up here, Jaedong in game number 4 as we get closer and closer to crowning the best player in the world out of these two. Over here in the north, with completely innovative, revolutionary play, he is sOs. Down here in the south, from the streets of Brood War, he is Jaedong.
Mean streets those were, Tasteless, but he ruled them.
Indeed. So, as we've already mentioned, this map is really weird due to the shape of the main. You have access from air all throughout the main. I mean, it's a really open spot. It's not like Akalon, for instance, where you're tucked into a little nook and you can turtle and defend.
It's also got that crazy natural where you can get behind it and shoot up if you have any vision.
Lots of airspace for those Mutalisks, which we know Jaedong loves to come in and do a lot of damage.
We see sOs is opened up with a gateway in the main. This still, of course, can be a fast expand build. And Jaedong is now going to head his drone over here to his natural and make a hatchery.
That's right. No fear out of Jaedong. He's going for that hatchery first, and I do think it's going to be just about every game. And you know what? Hatchery first, really nice against a gateway expansion.
I mean, if we look at Jaedong's history this year and tournaments he's played, every single time that he played against Naniwa, for example, earlier on in DreamHacks and other WCS tournaments, it was always hatchery first. Naniwa physically had to go double gateway rush against it.
He's doing something crazy again. He's got the pylon going down here. It looks like he wants to freak out Jaedong due to the past.
Mind games.
Hashtag mind games here. And then he cancels. Now that's drones that are not mining for a certain period of time. But Jaedong didn't overreact.
No, he only pulled a third drone down and then turned it around when he realized, oh, okay, this guy is pulling my chain. So that was a nice mind game by sOs, but Jaedong caught on to it very quickly.
I have literally never seen in like a finals like this somebody who's so brainy in their play. I mean, everything sOs does is disguised so well. I can't imagine how difficult it is for Jaedong to read him.
Artosis, you've had the opportunity to commentate week in, week out sOs this year. He's from the Korea region. You guys commentate the Korea region. What are some of the tendencies that you see from gateway expansions as we're seeing from sOs now that he usually does?
You know what? I would not be surprised at all if we saw him throw up a Stargate. I feel like that's where his strength really does lie. You give this guy a couple Void Rays and a Twilight Council, and he's going to make some magic.
I got to agree with you there, Artosis. I think the Stargate is definitely the way to go here. He's really good at using active units like Phoenixes, for instance.
What is that?
What?
It's called a robotics facility.
Oh
I can't
my God,
believe
a robotics facility. What does that make?
Immortals.
Immortals?
Oh.
They live forever.
Well, maybe not in this game against Jaedong. Now,
You know
where
what?
is he going to take us here? These games are so hard for us to predict at this point in time because SOS has been playing so weird. The positioning of the Robo, by the way, tucked into a corner, not out at the entrance, right? I don't know how much more we can glean from that.
Well,
he is walling in with the gateways. Is he going to do some kind of a weird timing? Is it even something as simple as I just want to get an observer out really fast? I mean,
this is Immortal Zealot. He only has one gas. That is exactly what we are about to see. This is a build that was like really good in the Korean metagame for about a day and a half earlier this year. And oh, a Warp Prism. What is this?
Well, Jaedong with his Overlord has spotted the lack of that single gas on the left-hand side.
Let's see if he sees the Warp Prism here.
He sees the lack of gas.
Oh my God.
Which way does he turn?
Well,
Is he turning at all?
he's not turning at all. He's
turning. He's going to exactly curve around this Robo. He's going to draw an outline of a robotics facility. And yeah, he never saw.
So
well, that doesn't.
Well, he sees it now with the wings.
Well, with the Warp Prism being built first over the Immortal, even though some of you may say, well, he's not building the Immortals as fast as possible to rush them out here, but what this does offer Imagine if this Warp Prism really pushes Jaedong to make a lot of units. That also slows him down because he's not building drones at this point. He needs a higher economy to deal with an immortal attack.
Now he's making a bunch of gates off of this, and this doesn't seem like a super committed robo attack, and this is going right into what we've seen SOS doing all night tonight, is just the mind games, faking them out, psyching them out.
Well, he's making those roaches be produced. And in fact, we do have some drones coming up from Jaedong, so he's not over-making at the moment. But this attack, when it comes, guys, it's going to be so scary. A lot of Zealots, a lot of Immortals, still no second gas.
Do you think Jaedong's identified what's going on yet? He's seen a lack of that, second gas inside the main base. He's droning quite heavily. He sees a Warp Prism flying around.
I think he thinks that SOS had to have changed what he was going to do because it's been scouted, but SOS, always deep in those mind games, is just continuing forward with this crazy all-in.
And he's going to push out now and see if he can't press for some damage.
Well, he's moving forward. The Warp Prism, warping in a couple more Zealots. Jaedong is building units. He's not too high up with his drone count, currently 54, and he's building 10 roaches. Are they going to be enough here? Remember, with no sentries, he's not going to really be able to hold these units back from rushing in.
That is a lot of roaches, but yeah, with that many Zealots, I mean, you can't kite all day against this, and look at that, a beautiful Time Warp does go down. The Immortals moving forward, trying to hit the roaches. A second Time Warp goes down.
He's continuing to just press for more and more damage. The roaches now up against the ropes. The Zealots here just dishing out so much. He can continue to warp in. These Immortals are so well positioned, by the way.
Just an amazing attack thus far. More and more roaches just piling out. But these two Immortals killing them off. GG! And that brings us to 3-1 for SOS.
Wow, SOS is changing, not just the way we see Protoss, but the way we see StarCraft too. We've seen a lot of players who are mechanical. We've seen a lot of players who are just good at little battles and engagements, okay? We see a lot of people who are good at just playing conservatively. This guy is inside your head. These are actually games that are, I think you guys can agree with this, pretty difficult to cast because I can't read what SOS is going to do until he pulls it out.
He's so unpredictable, and that's who he is. He changes it up from game to game to game. If he was using the same style inside out, Jaedong would know what to do. He'd be cutting the right corners. He would be prepared at all times. That's what's going wrong here.
And here's something to keep in mind. SOS only has to trick Jaedong one more time.
Well, Jaedong needs to win 3 in a row at this point.
And think about this. Has SOS actually tricked Jaedong in every single game? Actually, yes. Jaedong never found that expansion in the upper left. So this is a pretty tense moment. I can only imagine what this conversation is like going on in Jaedong's booth as to how he needs to play this if he wants to be a champion.
Well, you know what? The next map is going to be Frost, and I think that this is a good map for Jaedong. I feel like, it's so big that if he can get into that late game, it's going to be quite hard for SOS to win.
Is this a map now where SOS, as you keep on asking, can say, cannon rush time? Is this where he does it when he's 3 games to 1 with just one single map from being the 2013 world champion?
Let's talk about that for a second, because there's an interesting theme that's going on here. He's primed Jaedong from the start with cannon rushes, right? And then he's followed the next 2 games up with proxy pylons or just something that alludes to another rush. I don't know if it's going to be a cannon rush again this game, but I could see him faking or trying to fake Jaedong out with another pylon. He might even want to go for just some really basic gateway timing attack at this point in time. Jaedong's mind is going to be spinning so fast trying to figure out what on earth is this crazy player doing. That might catch him off guard as well.
It is a 4-player map though, so a cannon rush isn't as easy to pull off. It is difficult.
Sure,
you need to scout twice. You probably need to send out double probes to find out where Jaedong is as soon as possible. Otherwise, it wouldn't be executed as fast.
It's not as easy, but can we all agree that Jaedong should be going hatchery first on this map?
Yeah.
It's either hatchery first or a Zergling rush. So going for a forge quickly is not that bad an option.
It is very true. Well, we're very close now to starting in game number 5 here. And yep, it looks like the players are both ready here. Are you guys watching ready? So soon, only one player will be left, and there will be no way to dispute that he is the best player in the entire world. The game is now loading up. The map is Frost.
And this is it. This is match point for the rest of the match for Jaedong.
Yep.
I know everyone here wants to see him win, and he's got to start here on this map.
Head to head in cross spots here. Now over here in the upper left, in the red, changing the way we understand StarCraft. Give it up for SOS. The best Zerg from Brood War, here to be the best player in StarCraft 2. He is Jaedong.
And Autosis, I
Yes.
think we can all safely say, when Protoss players are struggling, when Protoss players are losing hope, SOS is the one to look to.
He truly is, Apollo. He's revolutionized really every matchup at least at least once, in fact. It's crazy to think about. He doesn't quite get the love of Jaedong, but maybe if he can close the series out, he'll start to.
Man, Jaedong, does he need to just like completely change his play style here? I mean, does he need to just completely reinvent the way he's opening up?
Well, he's changed his opening in this game. He's decided to go spawn and pull first here. Is he maybe expecting that we could have seen that cannon rush happen?
Well, what this does is it gives SOS an advantage. It looks like he's going Forge and Main fast expand, and against a 14 pool on a map this size, it's like the best counter to it.
Well, the hatch goes down now, and it seems like SOS, as far as, I mean, this guy should go to the casino after this. Every time he bets on anything, he gets it right compared to whatever Jaedong's trying to anticipate.
The mind games certainly have gone his way, but you know what? Going for pool first is not that big of an upsetting thing for Zerg. His economy is still going to be completely fine. It's not like he's rushing and failing. He's just playing a slightly safer build.
Do you think that we'll see any major differences from Jaedong in this game? Because he is trailing. You know, one game mess up, he's second place again. What do you think, either of you? I mean, what do you think he needs to do different? What is going wrong?
He needs to keep playing like he's playing. He is playing fantastically. He's getting tricked a bit. You know, I think that SOS is actually outthinking him in most of these games. Like, he scouted one gas, right? He saw the Warp Prism come out. That normally only means a Mortal Zealot attack, but he didn't counter it.
I would say Jaedong has to go by the notion of doubt everything. Nothing you know is for sure. Scout every corner of the map for anything. Keep scouting. Don't over-drone. Don't get greedy. Because the way SOS is playing, as long as Jaedong spots it and prepares for it, he should win.
And it's funny you say that, because that is usually how Jaedong plays. I mean, look at the games that he's played prior to this, the ones he's beat. He has scouted everything. He has reacted to everything. He has stopped everything. But in this series, it's just not quite the same.
It's wild to see. SOS definitely securing his spot as one of the best Protosses in the entire world, if not the best at the moment. But what does he do this game? What does he do in a game where he's gone Nexus first, it's a gigantic map, and it's cross spots, which makes any attacks a lot harder?
Also, just to go off that, the way this map is shaped is so weird when you're in cross spots fights. There's so many different ways to get to the same spot. So I'm not entirely sure. I mean, do you think SOS might just turtle up kind of like he did on Akalon? Is that maybe his best bet?
I think so, Tasteless, because even though we look at SOS as a thinker, an intelligent Protoss player, we've seen throughout this tournament, especially in the games he played against Pult, this guy can play toe-to-toe with you if given the opportunity. He doesn't necessarily need to outthink you. He can play fine as well.
And that's what makes him so dangerous. So we'll see if he goes for that. He is grabbing a really quick Stargate here. He has all his geysers. He's getting his +1. This is a very standard, tried and true opener.
It's also possible that SOS is really banking on the next map after this. You know, this is just a tricky map in general for Protoss against Zerg. But yeah, it's a situation where, you know, SOS has got to be so confident. He's got to feel like he's got Jaedong's numbers at this point in time.
Yeah, he can almost use this game as, let me just feel you out a little bit more, Jaedong, because depending on how this goes, he can really, as you described, mold the rest of the series. He can play aggressive cannon rush. He can play normal again, depending on how this goes.
Well, he's adding 3 more gates, still very standard what we're seeing, creating a lot of sentries as well. I think he's just going to be going into a third base, Apollo.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? Jaedong has scouted the Stargate and +1 attack. I think he just missed the gateways, but overall, Jaedong sees what we see so far, apart from the gateways, but he can assume that they're coming, therefore he can assume that this also should be a third base.
So yeah, so far, I mean, SOS playing a very normal game, which also could kind of go into the crazy mind games he's been playing. Is all right, well now I'm going to do the standard one, then I might go back to doing the wild stuff I've been doing before.
Yeah, play completely standard, the thing that you hit on ladder all the time, and then in the next game go for another cannon rush. I like it.
Let's see if it's going to be effective though, because like we were saying before this series started, I mean, if it's a standard game, that's usually when Jaedong is able to take control. He's able to punish you. He's able to manipulate and bend the game to his will. Well,
there's a couple of zealots here for this pylon and probe, which has gone unscouted, and there's quite a few now. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you're rooting for here, this has gone unscouted. This actually could win the tournament. A simple move like this,
yeah.
If Jaedong, for example, was to lose his third base, and he's still only building drones.
Oh, this could be so bad.
I'm starting to wonder if Jaedong is now... SOS's play might have just worked. Jaedong now is overthinking stuff. It didn't check for a simple pylon outside of his base.
Because he got no lava?
Nothing
10 lanes on the way. That's not going to do anything.
This is a disaster. The Zealots are doing so much damage here. They're probably going to be able to take out this hatchery. Drones scattering. Nothing here to defend.
And he's even taking out that Spore Crawler so his Phoenixes can help more. This is a lot of Zealots. Behind it, he's even going Colossus
and
tech.
After all of this series, such a simple move, so simple, so easy to pull off, could be the one thing that pushes SOS to the victory here at Blizzcon.
The Zealots have good surface area here, doing fantastic against these Zerglings, and this is a huge blow. +1 attack, unfortunately, finishing just a second too late.
All right, so that's the end of that rush, but I feel like it was pretty effective overall. He killed off a decent amount. He got rid of that Spore, which means these Phoenixes can still reign supreme. But the Hydras are finally out.
Yeah, that was a little bit scary there for Jaedong, but he does survive. 10 drones were lost. The Hydras do push the Phoenixes back for now. As we can see, there are the units lost. A lot of Zerglings, quite a few drones, but overall, for SOS, hardly any losses.
Now the Protoss transitions in a very healthy fashion, getting armor. Colossi just going to get pumped out. The Twilight Council's on the way. I mean, that attack was a success there for SOS. It did the damage he needed to do.
That was, this is a perfect scenario for SOS. When you want to go for Phoenixes into a Colossus in third base, if you do something like kill 10 drones, then all the normal Corruptor timing attacks are not going to end up killing you if you control correctly.
I mean, look at this. The Hydralisks are out, but so is the first Colossus. So it's not like he can hit and slow down SOS with just Hydralisks. He's not going to slow SOS from getting ready for Corruptors, as you describe. Jaedong is playing a game from, I'd say, 30 seconds to a minute behind where he'd usually be. He has to really bring something very different if he wants to really get back equal in this game.
That's right. As you say, 30 seconds to a minute behind, plus this is the longest map that we have, which puts him even further behind on any attacks. I don't think that he can do any busts. I think that Jaedong has to go into a very long macro game to win.
You know, Jaedong, we've already seen today that he's so good in that long macro game. I mean, this guy, no matter what size of the map or no matter how the geography of it lays out, he's able to keep control. SOS has shown us, however, that he is able to curl up into a ball and wait it out until it's his time to push out.
Well, that pylon's still alive, actually, and there is a Zealot going to come in. If he actually whoops in a couple more, he could get a cancel on that fourth base, slowing Jaedong even further.
That would be too much.
This pylon that hasn't been spotted here, I mean, this is pretty surprising. I think we can all agree. I mean,
where did those zealots come from earlier, Jaedong?
I know, kidding, exactly. Like, the zealots didn't magically appear out of nowhere. They were warped in from what? A pylon. And Jaedong hasn't seemed to check it. And I think what we can glean from that is that Jaedong is not himself right now.